Hello, I'm recording this on June 22nd. Yesterday was the official start of summer. It was also the coolest day we've had in weeks. All week, it's been raining. Between yesterday and today, we had over 1 inch. That's 2.54 centimeters of rainfall, and it's still raining. Also, recently, there's been a tornado in Texas. People lost their homes, and some people died. There's flooding in Ukraine, which is already dealing with a war that's been going on for over a year. Now, more people have died, and hundreds are without homes. Food, medicine, construction materials have all been lost. Somehow, in the middle of war, displaced parents have to find a way to feed and shelter their children. These natural disasters have harmed so many people. So I know you're asking, what's this got to do with music and theology? Well, all of these events reminded me of what I've thought for a long time. Contemporary Christian music, songs that we sing in church, are full of natural disaster imagery. Floods, hurricanes, tidal waves, but especially floods. For example, we receive your love when you come like a flood, like a tidal wave crashing over me, like a hurricane that I can't escape. And for some reason, we use this imagery to comfort ourselves, to express our understanding of God's power and love. I mean, if you think about the lyrics to these songs, they usually can be restated as, God, please send a destructive, life-taking force as a demonstration of your love, and we'll accept it with gratitude and joy. Now stop shouting at your screen and hear me out. I like poetry and song lyrics that use imagery. Song lyrics can express thoughts, emotions, and complex ideas in profound, beautiful ways. I don't think song lyrics need to be literal. That's where prose, sermons, lectures, essays, excel. That said, I do think worship leaders have a responsibility to think about the words in the songs they're using. Words have meaning, and those meanings are going to vary based on the person hearing the song. I want you to imagine looking out over a congregation that has recently lost homes and loved ones in a natural disaster like a flood. As you look into the eyes of those people who haven't showered in 3 days, who have a bad hip and yet had to sleep on the concrete church floor, who aren't rich enough to afford house insurance, and so, short of a miracle, they're homeless from now on. Now, start the worship band and sing your songs, asking God to send floods and tidal waves. Sure, you're using these songs to talk about God's love and power, but you're using imagery of forces that have destroyed people's lives. I think before you use these songs, you need to be able to answer these questions. Can you find any scriptures that talk about floods or other natural disasters as positive things, or as displays of God's power that are welcomed by humans? If not, I don't think you have to ban or call it unbiblical, but I do think you need to be aware of where the imagery is coming from. Be sure that just because a song mentions God and Jesus, you're not thinking of every expression in that song as being a scriptural truth. Think back to that conversation devastated by a flood and your worship set filled with natural disaster imagery. How would you introduce these songs? How will you use these songs to minister to grieving people? If you wouldn't use songs with flood imagery in that scenario, when would you use them? If your answer is, well, no one in my church has experienced something like that, my question is, how would you know that people in your church haven't experienced fear and loss in a natural disaster? How would you explain the benefit of using songs with natural disaster imagery to someone in your church who asked you to avoid using these types of songs? Again, I'm not saying that these songs should be banned from churches or that no Christian should ever sing them. I am saying that we need to be thoughtful about the words we use to describe God, because how we describe God informs the way people think about God. If we preach that God is kind and loving and doesn't want to destroy humans, and then sing a song asking God to send a destructive force as a sign of his love, we need to be able to explain the seeming contradiction in ideas about God. To end this video, delight in music. Revel in the marvelous variety of human expression. And also be aware of what your songs are teaching people. Be thoughtful about how a song that you want to use to minister to people could cause them harm. Being a worship leader, a singer, a songwriter is not an easy thing. We're balancing an art form with our call to minister to and disciple humans. It can be hard, but with the help of the Holy Spirit, you can do this. If you've liked this video, please subscribe. I'd like to publish a book that goes into more detail and looks at full songs, but agents for non-fiction Christian books won't accept submissions unless the author has a large social media following. So please help me and subscribe. Thank you.